This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded August 12th, 2013. Episode 158. Unbelievable USB Ustulater.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
What's up, Chris? This is our second
Dave.
show for the day. We're pulling back the curtain.
No, we are not pulling back the curtain.
Come
this
on,
is
let's
the
pull
first
back
thing
the curtain.
No, Dave, don't ruin the magic. All right, fine. At least it'll stop people from asking more questions, too.
Yeah, well, it will, exactly. And
Yeah.
and we can say that it was an awesome show with Eric Rees.
That's right. We just
'Cause
recorded with him.
We just recorded with him. And yes, it was great. It has, folks, we'll hype it up. If you like wank word bingo, get your market in business.
Honka.
Wank word
It's time for some
bingo sheet.
Yeah, wank
Oh,
words.
yeah.
Yes, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah. And he was flowing.
That's what his business is, though. He's
exactly.
good at
That's
it.
his business.
He's definitely that guy knows his stuff. So
He does.
People should.
He does.
We're not going to release it yet, so people got to
No.
wait a week yet. But it's
sorry.
it's worth waiting for.
Yeah, it's
And,
about startups and,
And hardware.
and well,
Hardware,
hardware
lean-
startups as well.
lean hardware,
processes and all sorts of cool stories and
Good stuff. A lot of stories.
it was awesome.
You have a story. What did you want to? You wanted to talk about a story, so something.
I did.
Deliveries or something?
Well, we were just
Working from
talking
home?
before we hit record here that I said I'm recording this from home today, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
likelihood that somebody might want to. Somebody knocks on the door, i.e., a courier, because we get stuff delivered all the time.
Randy.
And, or Randy calls up from
Yeah.
Hicksville.
Yep.
And, I said if that happens, well, I have to go answer the door because I want my package, I don't know if anything's due. I order all this stuff and it just turns up. Oh, yeah, I ordered that, Surprise. Hey, it's like Christmas time.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I wanted to talk about was that I just scored a tear-down item, or tear-down, hopefully a repair item on eBay, and it's local. It's here in Sydney, and I could have picked it up. But and the guy asked me, do you want to pick it up or do you want me to ship it to you? And I said, just ship it. It was like $11 or something, $12 to ship this thing, which is, a rather sizable thing. But because it's only going local, it's not going interstate, then it's reasonably cheap, $11, $12.
Yeah.
So he's doing that at cost, that's what Australia Post charge. And I'm sure it's similar in the US, right, to send a
It's
thing
cheap,
that
right?
weighs.
Especially if you do the if it ships or if it fits, it ships kind of thing. Those boxes
in
around
those
here.
in those prepaid boxes, we don't have prepaid boxes. We have prepaid satchels. So if it fits in a satchel, if it fits in a 3 kilo satchel, if it's under 3 kilos and fits in, it's like $8-9 or something. No, 10. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, it's relatively cheap, and I made the comment on Twitter, I think it was, that it's cheaper for me to have him ship it than it is for me to drive across Sydney and pick it up. Not just for the petrol, ignoring the petrol, just the bloody tolls to get there. Like, I could try and avoid the tolls and, it'd take me an hour to get there, an hour to get back, right? But
And even longer if you're riding the Sinclair C5, right?
Oh, a Sinclair C5, yeah. The Hedgehog, yeah. And if I make it back alive, that's right.
Right, of course.
And stop to charge it up every 20 kilometres, but...
Power wheels.
Oh, boy. But yeah, it's like, it's that insane thing where it's cheaper to send it, 20 kilometres than it is for me to go pick it up.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably it's probably 30 kilometres as the crow flies or something, but...
It's commoditized. That's what it really is.
Exactly.
I mean,
That's what
we
we're talking
depend on
about.
that stuff all the time, right? I mean, for
That's right.
PCBs, right? The group order kind of PCB stuff,
That's
like
it.
Oshpark
Yeah.
and we're taking advantage of these systems basically and getting a cheap rate for it. It's awesome.
No, it's great. And, And that doesn't include our time or petrol or anything like that. See, the wife's realised this, and now, I can buy stuff on the internet and they deliver to my door. I don't have to pack Sagan up in the car and go get it. And So, needless to say, everything's bought online these days. And that's...
Awesome.
I'm still... I'd love to know if it's more environmentally friendly, so to speak, for the courier to bring it than it is for me to hop in my car and go get it. Yeah. I have a gut feeling that it's better that the couriers, that everyone gets stuff couriered to their house, because then there's less traffic on the roads, therefore it flows better, and therefore they're more efficient, blah, blah, blah. I think there's,
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So there is a bit of transportation and energy news today, right? So Elon Musk just released the Hyperloop white paper, right? Which has its
I haven't
own
read.
thing.
I'm going to have to read it. But
I haven't either. I need to dig in. But
yeah.
But the interesting thing is he plots out the average energy use for different transportation modes, which is. And it's a bar graph, so there's a lot of missing data here, of course. But basically, he's showing just the energy, in order to move people in this case, right? And so you wonder if those same kind of efficiencies exist in freight and everything else. And there's always like the overhead effect of each time you move your car, you have to also move 2,000 pounds of steel or however much kilograms that is.
I see the graph now. Energy per passenger. Per journey in joules, 1,000 megajoules to 800 megajoules to use your car, 1,000 megajoules to use a motorcycle, which is a bit surprising.
Yeah, that is kind of surprising.
Oh, actually, no, I've seen that before, because a lot of people, like the general conception is, it's more environmentally friendly if everyone rode motorbikes, right? And then somebody actually has done they're saying the innovation hasn't happened in motorcycle engines like it's happened in car engines. Right, so it's actually more efficient to take a small car than it is to take a motorcycle. And you're talking wind resistance and all the,
I'm sure it's also because of passengers and everything too, right? Because you only get two people on a motorcycle, you can get four in like a mini hatchback or something like that. And,
yep.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's just math.
Needless to say, the plane is the highest, but it's not that much more than the motorcycle. It's only like, 100...
Only 100 megajoules more?
It's only 100. Well, we're talking about 1,000 to 1,100, right? So it's not much. In fact, it's only like 50 megajoules or something. It's tiny. And of course, the Model S, of course, this is where he's going. And train is right up there. Train is more than car. And the Model S, of course, is right down. And of course, you can debate these figures of merit until the cows come home, which model you use to calculate them, and But anyway, it's the interesting thing. The passenger Hyperloop is right down the bottom. So what is the Hyperloop?
It's a bunch of ideas right now, but it could be pretty cool. I don't know.
Well, they've done similar,
it's like part maglev, part air train, part vacuum tube, basically. It's a big tube, right, where this thing just flies through this dedicated tube, and using what? The combination of maglev and air pressure? Air, yep.
Right, so you just have it. And it goes at insane speeds, right? Like 1,000 kilometres an hour or something.
Yeah,
no, more,
700,
like
700 miles per hour, whatever that is.
All right. Unbelievable.
1,200 kilometers per hour. Yeah.
Very cool.
It's cool. I mean, I don't know. We've talked about Elon Musk a lot down here, and whatever he wants to do, I'll pay attention. Right. I think, someone on Twitter today said, if it was anyone else announcing this on Twitter today, it would just be laughed at. But
that's right. Yep.
Yeah,
it's him. Yeah.
Exactly. It's awesome.
Imagine being in that position.
Mega rich and really smart.
Yeah, that's right.
Halfway there, Dave. Hey.
Right. Hey, yeah.
Not really.
Oh, boy.
Someday I'm... Yeah.
I love it. What I want to know, did he personally write this white paper? I doubt it.
He said he was up all night with his team, so I'm sure it's, a
little
bit here, a little bit there. Yeah.
Right. Where does he get this team from? Does he just steal it from SpaceX or Tesla? Or he just gets the smartest guys in the room and just pulls them off whatever they're working on and goes, hey, I got this Hyperloop idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's have a crack at this.
I assume SpaceX is part of it because it's in the domain, but
right.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. If he needs any electronics help, though, he should give us a call.
Right. Well, we should find out who the smartest person in the room at Tesla or SpaceX is in electronics, because they've got to have electronics people, right? And we should get them on the show.
Well, I told you that. So one of my former coworkers works on SpaceX. He works on the Grasshopper. So I'm trying to get him on, but there's a lot of that kind of stuff. I mean, so like same kind of thing with like ITAR and everything else. You know, when the U.S. government gets really antsy when people are working on missile-like looking things. So
right,
we might be a little might be a little rough getting those people on. But yeah, that's cool stuff. So we'll try and get them on at some point.
Speaking about building and making stuff, we're finally getting a Maker Faire here in Sydney. It's a mini Maker Faire, but it's
probably won't be that many though. It'll probably be
no. We're talking
sized.
50 odd tables. You know, if it's all about the table size, right? How many tables are going to be? This one's about 50, which apparently I'm told puts it in the medium size mini Maker Faire.
Yeah,
if that makes sense, because there's a Maker Faire and there's a mini Maker Faire, which is like a franchise. The mini Maker Faire is the franchise version of a full Maker Faire.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily have to be small, but it's So
Cleveland's allowed to have a mini Maker Faire. How about that for reference?
Oh, there you go. Right.
Yeah.
At least we're not Detroit.
or like Spark Fun last week said that they are having a Northern Colorado mini Maker Faire, which is
there you go. And we're having a Sydney
decidedly
one.
Small as well. I mean, that's I'm surprised. I'm always surprised Sydney doesn't have more electronics people.
Yeah, no. See, it's more of a Melbourne thing. That's why we saw the Maker Faire happen in Melbourne first. Melbourne has more arty, passionate kind of people. Sydney's a bit more New Yorky, hustle bustle kind of.
Just because of like the cost of living there and everything.
Yeah, well, maybe it's just general attitude. I mean, Melbourne is sort of the arts. And arts and creative capital more of Australia than Sydney would be. So, I don't know how they got to that position, but yeah, they certainly have. Like you walk down the streets and alleyways in Melbourne and you see, artwork, down,
like galleries
little laneways and stuff, or just,
murals and all that crap.
Yeah, murals and all that sort of stuff,
Banksy
right? It's just, it's just more arty. Anyway, we're having one here. And the cool thing is it teams up with the Powerhouse Museum, which is an awesome museum. And it's, I think it's just better than, some individual running it in a, some big warehouse somewhere. So, so you
because they do that in New York with the New York Hall of Science. They do that in Detroit with the Ford Museum up there. And,
it just frames it in a cooler environment, right? You exactly. Go there and you're in a cool science tech museum, and it's just great. So, anyway,
I love museums.
And we discussed this before the show, and I'm not going to have a table because then I'd be stuck behind the table all day. But I am going to try and make something. Go figure. For the Maker Faire, and Chris,
and it's going to be awesome.
You thought it was a good idea, right?
Yeah, it's going to be good. Well, as long as Dave does it. Everybody should definitely pester Dave, say, is it done yet on Twitter?
Right, is it done yet? Right, I've got to start. Oh.
Yeah, that'll be in November, you said?
No, and November 24th, I think, is the date. So, I'll start like November 23rd.
I was going to say, that's about Thanksgiving time frame for you guys, right? And then I'm like, nope, that doesn't work.
Thanksgiving? What the hell's that?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
It's when you eat a lot and you watch football. Right. It's regular football. Not the world football, though.
Yeah, so we were discussing this before the show, and it was like I told him my idea, and he went, "Oh yeah, that's it's cool. It's pointless. Like it doesn't do anything.
No,
by design, it does not work. Okay, I'll say that. But it's I just.
But that's the point of Maker Faire, and that's what we kind of got to too.
That's the point of Maker Faire.
And I think some people have like misconceptions about Maker Faire, like it's like I've heard this before actually. They're like, it's just people like mess around with Arduinos, but it's. I really enjoyed it because it's. I mean, yes, there are a lot of Arduinos there, but it's just because it's an enabling technology, right? It's people that want to make stuff move, make stuff blink, make stuff, sing, whatever it is, and they just want to integrate technology and art and all these other things together and learning, and it's just. It's a lot of friggin' fun. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, I really enjoyed it last year. I hope to go to San Francisco next year, and I put your name in the ring. Hopefully they'll try and send you over here next year. But I don't know if they will.
That could draw me back to the US. To go to the Big Bay Area Maker Faire. That would be extremely tempting. Yeah.
Whereas be the mother of all meetups.
Right. Yeah. Whereas other things that have tried to tempt me to the US in the last couple of years since I've become a daddy is, just not really worthwhile. It has to be something new, and I've always wanted to go to one of those huge maker fairs. So yeah, that'd be pretty good. We'll see. Anyway, so I came to the conclusion that I didn't just want to do an electronics thing, right? That's obvious because I'm, that's what I do, right? I could design an, electronics widget, but unless I can walk around and show, what am I going to do? Shove it in people's faces? Hey, look at this new kit I designed. Right. Isn't this wonderful? Right. People are going to go away, creep.
Right.
It's like, whereas so I figured it's got to be something I can wear or something I can carry around that people just stare at me and go, holy shit, what the hell is that?
Or a robot costume you can put Sagan into, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm aiming for, right? So I'm aiming for people to stare at me. That's kind of...
Right. Which is a little off-putting at first, but you get used to it.
Right.
Says the Google Glass wearer.
Can we say there's a free T-shirt in it for anyone who successfully guesses?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Anyone who guesses.
Anyone who guesses.
Guess privately, though. We don't want to...
Oh, yeah. Well,
Well, yeah, I guess you don't want people emailing.
Well, no, people can do publicly. I can set up a forum thread for it. Guess Dave.
There you go. That's the way to do it. Yep.
Right, okay. And then they can all, and I won't give any clue. Well, I might give a cryptic clue or something maybe, but I won't say
there's
if
definitely
you're
a
right
T-shirt
or wrong.
in that. Yeah, right. Well, you'll know it when you see it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope I can do it. It's possibly a bit out of my norm, but we'll see. I can't leave it to the last minute though, because it's not, because it is outside my norm. I need to, carefully consider how this thing is built and what technology to build it with, and Anyway,
you'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out. Yep,
that's fun.
And the wife just rolled her eyes. She just,
right.
Yeah, whatever. I'll go to the fair, but I'll pretend I don't know you.
Right.
Yeah. Oh goodness!
So you're working on another project though too. You've been making lots of little IR videos. That's fun. That's been fun.
No, I made a IR video because I did that quick hack, and a lot of people didn't like that. But okay, fair enough, But it was a quick hack. It wasn't. I originally didn't want to do that video. I wasn't going to do it. But I just wanted to hack something together to try it, and I thought, I may as well turn the camera on. Content's content.
That's the best way to get stuff naturally, right?
Mm. So that's kind of what it was. A lot of people didn't like it, and but I didn't do the follow-up video for the people who didn't like it. It was like, well, stick it, right? If you don't like it, just okay, fine, right. You don't like it, right? But no, there were quite a few people who asked, can you show how you would do it with actually do it.
Yeah, like the capture of signals.
Yeah, the capture of the signals, and then program the Arduino to actually do it properly instead of hacking a remote. And fine, if you ask, I produce a video, and yes, I think it's quite good.
I liked it. It was good.
Oh, thank you very much.
I've never really been interested in IR stuff because, there's some kits out there, right? There's like the
there's tons. Yeah,
TV Be Gone is a big one, right?
Yeah,
and stuff like that. But I didn't like IR stuff, but
no, I've done it a little bit in the past, and it's cool. And I am not smart or cool enough to actually use GitHub, but I'm halfway there apparently. So I'm half cool. I've used GitHub Gist, if that's how you pronounce it.
What's that?
Gist. It's because apparently GitHub is like. I'll get flamed for this, but it's not easy to use, right? You've got to download software. You've got to download software, install it, like a Subversion thing. You've got to download software, put it on your machine, and then...
Tortoise
and
Git
your Tortoise
whatever,
kind of, it's similar to that. You got to... I don't want to download software. I've got like 24 lines of source code I just want to put on GitHub. I don't want
the real thing with that, every time I see people talking about GitHub, they're always talking about pulls and forks and all that stuff.
Yep.
And this is a mystery to me too, and I think we've talked about this before, but I think the real power is when you are working from the command line, you're pulling in code, you're editing it from the from like a VI or Vim or whatever, and then you're pushing it back up with command line, right? That's great for that kind of stuff, and Man, I never got into that kind of flow. For me, it was always I always got started with IDEs, especially because I started with FPGAs before micros really, and it's all IDE based.
Yep.
And now there's more support for like command line stuff, and I know a couple of guys that do command line stuff, but
it's more for your professional software developers, GitHub, right? It's
right.
Whereas
or just
I
enthusiasts
just wanted,
too, right? I mean,
I just wanted to paste 10 lines of code. It's not like I'm committing code every day. If I was, I'd probably learn how to use GitHub properly and download the software and all that sort of jazz. But apparently GitHub Gist, it's a separate, side thing to GitHub. It's on the same website. I think it's gist.github.org or something.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's just a simple way without the software to paste your code. So you just paste it in there, and you can do the forks, and you could do the revisions, and it tracks your revisions and all that, but it's not fully integrated with the whole GitHub software and all that sort of jazz. But you can still do rudimentary forks and revisions and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was quite neat. It just allowed me to post it. But what I hate, I'll tell you what I hate, is that...
What do you hate, Dave?
Well, it's
Tell me what you hate. Please, Dave, tell me what you hate.
No. It's not integrated with the search on GitHub. So if you search GitHub for Arduino IR, right, you get all of the search results for GitHub. It doesn't search GitHub Gist. GitHub Gist has its own search results.
Oh.
That's just why can't they move?
No?
It's stupid. Yeah, it gets indexed.
So what is Gist supposed to be then?
Well, Gist is supposed to be for idiots like me who don't, or who just have, a simple bit of code and a couple of lines of code, 10 lines of code, and they want to just paste it and go away.
So this is more like a paste bin. This is like a paste bin.
It's paste bin. It's an improved paste bin. Somebody on Twitter told me that. I haven't used paste bin, but it's apparently GitHub's version of paste bin. So
that makes sense then.
Right. Okay.
Huh. And you could still fork it and everything. And like I'm looking at it right now, you can do public and private and everything else like that. Then
you can fork it and you can do everything, and it shows the revisions. Like I've edited it a couple of times, and actually it's really cool. It shows you, it highlights the lines of code. There's a thing down the left hand side, and it highlights which changes.
Which language?
Made.
You can do different languages and everything.
You can do anything. It doesn't care what the language is. Wow. Apparently, well, I don't think it does.
Racket.
I don't think it.
R, HTML, Rogue, Rust. Wow, that's a lot of languages.
So it does.
That's pretty cool.
It. Okay, right.
Yeah. Lots of different languages.
Right.
That's
crazy.
It
so you just literally just paste your code in there and press go. Yeah,
that's cool.
And
I like that.
Although this is
the gateway drug for GitHub, basically, right?
But it doesn't give you a cool URL name like GitHub does. Like I tried I actually tried to. It's there, but there's no code in there because I didn't download the software and commit. And it was like github.com EEVblog/Arduino IR, transmit or something. It gave it a cool name, whereas the Gist thing just gives it a random number or something. And maybe there's a way to change that. I don't know. But anyway, it's there, and I used it, so I sort of feel like I'm almost one of the cool kids.
You're getting there.
Yeah.
You never know, man.
I know. Yeah. But it's just annoying, that is it, because I searched GitHub, right, for Arduino IR, and there's like 20 pages of everyone's written their own IR library.
And you're like, why the hell didn't I just look at this before, right?
Well, no, because I wanted to write it from scratch, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure my code is probably near identical to someone's out there, because there's only, it's pretty simple, right? There's a pretty obvious way to do it. And so it's probably near identical to someone's, I'm sure. But that's the mentality of engineers, right? They, you might be able to download a library, but it's too bloated. It doesn't do exactly what I want.
But that's the sound of experience too, right? That's not just that's like. I've gotten burned in the past. I downloaded this guy's library. I ended up troubleshooting it for 3 days straight, and I'm just going to write it myself. Screw it, I'll write it myself. That's exactly. I think that's what experience is, not just engineers.
Exactly. And that's what it is. There's like, a dozen pages of bloody all these different IR libraries for the Arduino. Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. So, I've added another one, except it's on Gist. I guess nobody searches Gist because that's for amateurs, right?
No.
So fail, Dave fail.
That's okay. No one will pull in your crappy code now. It's the sandbox for us special kids. Us special hardware kids trying
to look cool, yeah.
Yeah, man. Every time I code. I can code. I mean, like, I know I complain about it on here a lot. Yeah. I can code. It's just not good code. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I've been told my code is not good code, but I think it's... But I look at other people's codes and I go, I can't read that shit. I do not know what you're doing. I think my code is just so simple and dumbass, and I'm not using classes and bloody all sorts.
It's not extensible. It's not portable. It's like, who gives a crap? I'm trying to flip a bit here. Come on, people. That's the thing. Yeah, we're talking about we talk about hardware. We want to turn a switch on. They want to, parse a friggin' language or something crazy. It's like, get out.
And holy crap, I used a global variable. Oh, shoot me. Shoot me. Guilty as charged. You know
what I found is the way to shut those people up? I'll get it later during code cleanup.
All right, yeah.
I'm just trying to ship, right?
Oh, yeah,
exactly. There we go. Yeah.
Like I remember I got hammered for that. I pasted some Arduino code. I think it was part of my power supply project. It was in a video somewhere. Yeah, and I just I want to send out 10 identical things. So I just wrote 10 lines of code instead of writing a for loop to do it, and I got hammered. It's not efficient. Oh, like, far out, dude.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, speaking of forking, fork this. No,
I stick a fork in my eye. That's what I want to do.
So Upverter uploaded a video. So we've talked about Upverter before. They had the online CAD program and back-end stuff for actually forking designs, which is by far the CAD program's cool, right? But by far, I think the forking is their most powerful feature, because you take, you make a design, I hit fork, and then I go change it around and I can go get it manufactured, right? They actually did an online video of like the three founders basically making a clone of a Fitbit.
What's a Fitbit?
Fitbit's the thing that clips on your belt, so it's like an accelerometer that basically goes into a micro and then dumps the data. Fitbit, I think, communicates over Bluetooth as well, but they just wanted to get raw accelerometer data. But it's cool because they kind of just were sitting there and talking it over and saying, I've used this AT Tiny before, let's use that, and then they kind of were able to piece all the different pieces together, and then they actually had a layout by the end. It was about an hour video.
Cool.
It's cool little video. And most importantly, I will be joining them for their next revision, which will be Wednesday night.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I get to join in. So
you get to hang out with the cool kids.
I get to hang out with the cool kids. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's I think they said some people are be able to watch live because it's going to be like Google Hangout and then live streaming stuff. But I'll put more details in the show notes when this gets posted.
Right.
So people can watch me fumble around with Upverter.
Awesome.
Yeah. Have you tried it yet or no?
Riveting viewing, folks. Riveting viewing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with it's tough, but it fits well with contextual electronics too, so that's nice. And it's good to see how other people do it, right? That's why people liked your power supply videos, and it's good stuff.
Or didn't.
Didn't? Some people didn't like it?
Well, I'm a shit coder, apparently.
Oh, right, of course. Well, yeah.
And because I didn't include the feature they wanted,
Right, of course.
Oh, yeah. Designing in what's the word? Live
public
with
eye.
people, in the public eye. Thank you. Is just shit. I don't know if I'd do it again. It's just awful.
It is tough. I mean, there's always going to be like, you're never going to do it right. I mean, or you're not going to do it how everybody else would do it, right? But like,
no.
But part of me feels like that kind of like design voyeurism is like. It has its benefits, because then you can kind of, if people can manage to shut up about it for a little while about why it's not the same way they would do it, then they can actually learn. Like that's kind of the basis behind it. And if they'll actually just sit and watch, that's another question. But
got it. That's Randy.
Randy on cue, right about halfway mark. Randy's calling to talk about our sponsor this week, which well, we don't
There
have a
you go.
sponsor
You
this
can
week.
talk about our sponsor, and I'll go talk to Randy.
For real? Hello? Is he really going to get it? I guess he is. All right. So we don't actually have a sponsor this week, but the Contextual Electronics beta program is going on right now. So that could be kind of our sponsor. So picked about 20 people, and about 300 people applied for the beta program. And so thank you to everyone who did apply. If people are still interested in applying or in getting information about the future program, it should be starting about October. We're making videos now. I've been making videos, and as we go forwards, as go through the beta program, people start pointing out errors and such. The videos will get even better. But it's going to be actually similar to this Upverter thing as well. So, I mean, Upverter's doing kind of smaller design stuff, more of just kind of showing you how you're starting and how you're finishing, right? Picking parts and going. Mine will also be how you actually do it, right? Why you're picking these things, not because you've used them before, but because you want this characteristic of an op amp, you want this characteristic of an A to D, that kind of thing. So all these things are important in your actual designs, and hopefully that's what people get out of it.
You were supposed to talk about our sponsor. You plugged your own stuff.
That is our sponsor this week, buddy.
Right. In other words, we're getting paid jack this week, folks.
Yeah. So I was actually going to post about that. I was wondering, because when we started advertising, our listenership dropped off a little bit, and it's kind of hard to ask people that have dropped off listening if it's because of advertising. But I was going to try and get a feel for how people have liked our advertising so far, since we're going to have a lull for a little while. So I'm going to put up a survey about advertising.
Yeah, do it.
So just how you feel about it.
I would be very surprised if they left because of the advertising. I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, you never know. Obviously, like I said, we won't be able to find out if the people did leave. But I'm just curious in general. For people that are still listening too, I'm just curious about how you felt about sponsors so far. If you want us to try and find different ones, or if you like the ones we've had. All these things are good to know. I basically love surveys. They're great.
Yeah, I
love hearing from you guys.
Yeah,
it's I mean, like, people I put like the extended text box in there too, and some people write like an email's worth of text, and sometimes I skip it for a little while, but I always go back and read it, and it's great. And some people are really funny too, so I appreciate the funny results. Don't all be jackasses, but funny thing here and there is okay. We got enough jackassery between me and Dave.
Yep. And by the way, that was Randy calling to complain about my source code.
Oh yeah,
son of a
what
bitch.
Did he say?
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah. What else? So I was talking about Upverter. There was another thing I was going to talk about. Because so two other people that are doing kind of this forking of design stuff. So Osh Park, like we mentioned before, Lane we've had on the show to talk about Osh Park. People should listen to that episode. But he actually has a store now. So if you submit a design to Osh Park, you can actually sell it. And I think, but don't quote me on this, you get a cut. When people order the board. Well, yeah, hopefully, right? But, basically you just kind of put your designs out there, and I think you get a cut. It might just be an open thing. But then Tindy definitely is selling a thing, Tindy is the marketplace where you can sell your designs. They also have a thing so that if you have someone, I think it's someone else uses your design, you get a cut of that then. I think that's the idea. I might be saying that wrong. But basically, there's kind of this revenue sharing model that's kind of emerging from different sites that are favored in the open hardware community, and it's an interesting idea. I mean, it's kind of it's almost like an affiliate kind of thing, right? I mean, it's like, I'm using your, not IP obviously because this is open, but I'm borrowing your idea, so here's a tip kind of thing, that kind of idea, and it's cool. I mean, it's probably not sustainable. Like if it, people started asking exorbitant prices, you're not going to get a lot of people that are like, if it's like, oh, this board's $40, whereas it would have been 20 before because I want to make $20 off of it. But like there is that kind of, it just kind of greases the skids a little bit. You know what I mean? Greases the skids is totally the wrong. It's late, man. I'm running out of juice here. I need another
Two
Diet
shows
Coke.
back to back is too much for him,
Yeah.
folks.
Oh yeah. I need a nap. but basically, I think it is a good thing. I mean, like it's and like Adafruit's been doing this for a little while. I think SparkFun does this as well. Where they give commissions effectively for a cut, which is good. That's a nice way to do it.
Yeah.
Encourages stiff.
Can we go on to a what the product?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Who put this in here? Who bloody well?
Andalek?
Yeah.
You talking about the USB soldering iron?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Andalek.
And I've opened up the PDF. There's a PDF data sheet here from a company called Megatone in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Is this for real?
It is for real. Yeah, and there is actually a teardown. Someone did a teardown of one.
They're claiming, like, it plugs into a USB port, right? It's a soldering iron, plugs into a USB port, and they're also claiming you can plug it into a 9-volt battery.
Yeah.
How do you get any sort of power out of a 9-volt battery? Enough to, the USB port is 5 watts, right?
2.5 watts.
Oh,
It's,
sorry,
500 milliamps. I think USB 3 is an amp max, or close to an amp.
And they're claiming 5 watts from the USB port, so that's bullshit unless they're paralleling 2 USB ports up.
No, I think most.
Or they're using the high power one.
No, well, USB is 500 max on a single controller.
I said, but they're showing you can plug it into any USB port on your laptop, right?
Right. But I mean, like, if you have, unless you have specified, like, it's usually 500 milliamps for all USB ports on a. Usually they're all on the same bus.
Yeah, but it's you got to advertise for the lowest common denominator, right?
Yeah. Right.
Which is going to be that 500 milliamps, that 2.5 watts, and they what?
Yeah, it's 2.5 watts is
2.5 watts.
Right. Well, what they do is they say, okay, we can get this up to temperature, right? They say you can get up to what 700 F is about what I usually solder at, but what's that in C? It's like 300 something.
300 or something. Yeah, right. Yeah, you can probably get it up to temp.
Right.
Maybe.
It's a matter of keeping
it's got no thermal capacity.
Yeah, exactly.
What a crock
it's about
of shit.
Keeping it at a temperature. And so someone was talking. Do you remember a while back, Amanda asked us to say happy birthday to her fiance on the show?
Oh, right. Yeah.
So Mike actually has one of these, and he said actually, if you're careful about it, if you kind of guard on what you use it on, small stuff, that it can work. But yeah,
what a crock of shit. Yeah, maybe on one tiny lead of a SOT 23 or something with no major track connected to it.
Yeah.
Give me a break. What a crock.
Well, I think the funny thing about it is, like, I'm trying to think of a situation where I'm using a device that has a USB port that it can actually supply power, so USB host, right? And then I actually don't have any power outlet, and so I definitely want to use I want to use up the battery internal to my device in order to solder. And it's like, I cannot think of many situations when that would happen, when I wouldn't have a power port available. Even I would take a 25 watt, pencil soldering iron from Radio Shack over this thing.
Well,
kind of
I would
thing,
take one of those gas powered ones. You can get those butane.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're not bad, right? Then they're not regulated or anything.
Huge, but
they do a job. At least they got some bloody thermal capacity.
Yeah, right.
Unlike this pathetic joke.
Yeah, well, this is the same kind
marketing
of
over usability
incarnation of, like, when people talk about like power differences for, like, charging cell phones, right? Like, well, I can charge the cell phone by using a piezoelectric element. It's like, yeah, you can, but you're not going to, like
exactly.
Like, you can get it up to voltage, and you can, maybe supply a little current, but it's all about power delivery over time is what really matters, right?
And they're using a 9-volt battery here as well.
Yeah, I don't know what's the internal resistance on a 9-volt. I've never really tested that.
From memory, it's like 10 ohms or 5 ohms or something.
Wow.
Because it's a 4A, right? A AAA battery is a AAA battery is about 0.2 ohms or 0.2 to zero point 0.4 ohms or something like that. So a 9-volt battery is, it's probably an ohm or something.
But still significant. I mean, like, you're not going to dump a lot of power out of one, right? I mean, you're not going to...
Exactly. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's just
ridiculous. To dump that kind of power out, you're going to want to... It's going to heat up the battery, too, and you're going to... Yeah, it's going to be self-limiting. So that's always the problem with batteries, is the internal resistance is what limits them to their benefit, because then they don't blow up on you, hopefully.
Well, and then there's a difference there. If people don't know... in fact, I want to do a video on this. There's ionic resistance in a battery, and there's internal resistance. And people think that they're one and the same, right? They read that, value of, 0.2 ohms on the data sheet of the battery. Oh, that's its internal resistance, 0.2 ohms. Yeah, but that doesn't include the ionic resistance, right?
So that is just as you start to, like,
that's the chemical reaction. The ionic resistance is the wank word for the
how fast
chemistry that happens in the battery,
kind of thing?
Right? Yeah, and it happens in the scale of like, half a second, 0.1 of a second up to tens of seconds. It happens over that time frame.
Right, because it actually is the chemical recombination.
It's the recombination and the gassing and the whatever. It varies by chemistry.
That's been a while for me, Dave.
I know. It's
the most chemistry I get is when I watch Breaking Bad and Walter White teaches me how to cook meth. I don't do much chemistry anymore.
I'm not going to talk out my ass on that anyway, so I'll just call it ionic resistance. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
And the internal resistance that they specify in the data sheet is usually, a good data sheet will tell you it's measured at 1 kilohertz, right? And the reason they measure it at 1 kilohertz is because it takes out that ionic factor, that ionic resistance factor. The chemistry doesn't have time to react to influence that. So that's why, to just get the pure DC resistance, so to speak, of the internal, all the internal connections and stuff like that to the plates and whatever, which is more in a 9-volt battery, of course, because it's 6 4As hooked up together. You have to do that at a kilohertz so that you avoid the ionic and the ionic resistance factor. So that value in the data sheet, when you start pulling current from that thing, that resistance applies for the first, 0.1 of a second or something. But then after that, the ionic resistance starts to swamp it and goes up. Yeah. So, 9-volt soldering iron from a 9-volt battery, my ass.
Right.
Just wanted to say that. Sorry.
Oh, that's cool. It's that's definitely shonky.
Yep.
It's
it's just you almost can't debunk it because it'll get to 480 degrees, right? But so their claim is correct. But it's just absolutely useless.
Yep. As
a soldering iron. And it's got a conical tip on it. Well, I guess there's no point having a nice big chisel tip on there because it's got no bloody power to transfer anyway, right?
So you that won't get up the temperature, right? Yeah. Right. I tell you, the day that changed my life, I think it was, I might have mentioned on the show before, I think it was Jeff Kaiser, though, that suggested it to me. No, that's what it was. It was Curious Inventor was talking about, on YouTube, he has a video about soldering QFN-type chips with, like QFN being quad flat, no lead type of chips, right? So you actually don't see the pads and everything like that.
Evil.
And so I don't have any I don't have a reflow oven at my workplace or anything like that. And I was like, I got to do this. And basically the idea is you preheat the board and then you flood the crap out of it with flux, and then you use a hot air pencil and it kind of seats itself.
Yeah.
You hope for the best. But the preheating of the board, man, that thing changed my life. My little board preheater, I friggin' love that thing. Do you ever use those at all?
I have used them at work, but I don't have one in the lab, no.
They're worth it, man. They're like $200.
Yeah, I know.
They have different ones, but man, it's like having like a little hot pot underneath your board and everything. And like every time like dealing with like big ground pours and stuff like that, anything with like any significant amount of solder or of copper rather, man.
Sit it there for a minute or two on the preheater and get it up to 200 degrees or something,
Exactly. It's a beautiful thing. It's like, and then you just touch it with the heat pencil and Things fly away.
Yep.
Happy
Magic.
trees. Yeah.
Anyway, so is that our shonky product of the week?
Oh, that's definitely shonky product of the
Shonky.
week.
That's just garbage. Don't buy it, folks. Just don't even waste your time looking at it, actually. It's just pathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not shonky and interesting is Intel is jumping into the open hardware development board market.
Grown.
No, not grown. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah, well, it's interesting, but it's like grown. Why don't you just, if you're going to use an Intel board, why don't you just use a little mini ATX or whatever they're bloody well called?
Oh, like an actual motherboard?
An actual motherboard, yeah, because they're so commoditized and so cheap, right? This thing's like $200
maybe.
or whatever, right? Whereas a motherboard, like you can get the mini motherboards that are,
I think what we're seeing
or less.
is Intel getting they're jonesing to jump back into the embedded market. Basically, I mean, we all know that Intel, they're hurting a little bit. They're not up a creek yet, but they're hurting because of mobile and everything like that. And their new chips are supposed to be great for cell phones and all that crap. But basically, Intel dances around embedded every couple of years, and then they dip a toe in the pool, and then they say, "Oh no, that was way too cold."
It's almost
and then they jump out and they screw some people for that bought into it.
It's
so this
almost
might be
another
incarnation of that. But at the same time, if it's not, I mean, this is a nice tool, because then with the ATX stuff, you can't, with those motherboards, you don't have design files, right? You don't have ways to modify stuff. Yeah, it might be commoditized, but if it's too bulky or it's the wrong size or all this other crap,
and it's not, and it varies from manufacturer to manufacturer. It's
exactly. If you're buying some cheapy board from Asus in some random factory, then you don't know if it's going to be there tomorrow versus industrial type stuff. Yeah,
that's the advantage of this. It's called the Minnow.
The Minnow board, right?
As in the SS Minnow. That's not a good. I wouldn't have chosen a tour. That's how long it'll last in the market. Just sit right back and hear a tale of a fateful product.
Oh boy!
Sorry
That's
about my
mean,
singing.
Dave.
I can't see.
Yeah.
I know. And of course, in true modern Arduino, Raspberry Pi wank terminology, they have to come up with a name for the plug-on boards, and they're called lures.
Yeah. Of course, right.
It's the Minnow, they're lures, get it? Yeah,
yes,
right.
fishing,
I'm
yes,
doing
fishing.
something with my hand at the moment, yeah.
Waving hi to Intel.
Okay, right, okay. Well, I'll give them A for having a go, of course. Whether or not it's successful,
opening up is good, right? That's a good thing.
Yeah, of course. I'll never diss them for that. But it's just yet another platform. There's just so many bloody platforms out there. Right?
There are, and there is a resource for you now, because you might want to know about all the platforms.
I just want to keep up to date on all the new platforms coming out, right?
We should start trading these like futures and stocks and everything.
Right.
Why not? It is good to know about, but the bigboardlist.com actually lists all of the different... there are a lot. There's about... 20 or so on here right now, and these, a lot of ARM-based boards.
And they're missing 90% of them, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I mean, these are kind of like the big open projects,
the
I
big
believe.
ones, right, yeah. Okay.
I mean, like, they're not like the
Raspberry
single-board
Pis,
computer.
the BeagleBones, no. These are
I mean, there's always been industrial single-board computer, PC 104 type stuff.
Always. This is not
that's
new.
been out there
People
forever.
think this is new, right? No, this has been around since... bloody, I can remember.
Someone said, hey, I really don't want to lay out this Intel chip that's been around that long. I should just pay someone to sell me an entire board with memory on it, too. That's a great idea.
The Arduino, folks, if you don't know, is not a new concept. It's been around for 30 years, It's a development board. Whoop-de-doo.
It's a development board. No, the power of the Arduino and all these things, right? And Raspberry Pi and everything else, too. And Minnow board, too. I haven't seen it enough. Is the community and the software that is encasing these things.
Of course.
I mean, that is honestly all that matters. Otherwise, it's just a single board computer. You can get... I mean, I get industrial catalogs that have these things out the wazoo, and it's like, all right, well,
they've been around since the 70s,
right.
Yeah, it's nothing
new.
Did
PC 104 stuff? I never used any of that stuff.
Yeah. Use PC 104 extensively.
So is that refers to like the headers and stuff, or does that refer to something else?
No, it refers to the header form factor. It refers to the little, I forget the exact dimensions.
It's like 100 mil spacing.
It's, and the 0.1 inch headers, and it emulates the ISA bus, if people remember the ISA bus, right? So it's exactly the same. Well, don't quote me, but it's basically an ISA bus, but in an embedded format. So instead of slotting in cards, it's like an Arduino. You stack these boards up, and you can, it's exactly the same thing. And this was around in, I don't know when 104 came out, but I remember using it in the...
It's pretty old.
It was in the 80s, right? Yeah. Right. Well, of course, the PC started in 81, or 80 when it came out. And the embedded...
Yeah, but embedded was tough at the beginning. I mean, like, that was...
Well, yeah.
Well, like when Jack was on, he was talking about that stuff, right?
Well, that's right. And there was no community, as you talk about, right? Because the internet didn't exist, right? So you had to buy the development board from a catalogue. You'd have a physical paper
from the
catalogue.
Local guy, right?
Right, yeah.
He would drop it off.
And buy it from your local rep. He'd come around and give you the paper catalogue, and you go, I want one of those development boards, please. And it came with everything you needed to...
Yeah. And there wasn't any GitHub, right?
No, there was none of this newfangled
That's why everybody
internet.
writes their own software, right, Dave? Because they had to.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It didn't exist.
There's another one, too. I actually really liked the Freescale tower boards. Did you ever see those? Those were kind of similar to the PC-104 style. They had like...
Doesn't ring a bell.
They were using, what's it called? PCI card edge connectors. And then basically they had boards with two PCI card edge connectors on either side. And then they had like these stacking headers where you could plug in different stuff. But it was nice because you got these high-density headers and these vertical columns that pass signals up and down. I don't know. It was a cool little idea.
Yep.
I like that kind of interoperability kind of stuff where you can... I mean, it's the same thing as Arduino and everybody else. Having standardized headers and interfaces is what powers platforms, really.
Yeah.
I always say that. The power of systems is in the interface. You define an interface before you can define a system, truly.
That's been around since the days of the Altair.
What do you mean?
The
having a standardized interface?
Yeah, how to standardize interface.
Exactly. I didn't come up with it. I don't claim that at all.
Once they published the Altair, they went, well, no, it was probably even before that in the days of the IBM 360 and, mainframe. And say, to use a standardized whatever, and then they published the first PC, the Altair, it became the Altair bus was the standard, and then became the S100 standard bus. And then, IBM came out, it was the IBM ISA bus, and then Microchannel, and then, Visa, and all sorts of,
Yeah. I wonder what that conversation went like with someone, because, I mean, like, you think about the business climate back then, right? Like, talking about local and all these, like, having smaller players in the market and everything like that, and then someone being like, I mean, I'm sure with IBM it's not that big a deal, but like being like, what we should do? We shouldn't hide this proprietary bus. We should just publish it. Like that, the guy who said that probably had brass buttons. You know what I mean? Like, he's just like, oh well, we should just give it all away, right? Because in the old days they wanted to actually make the hardware themselves, but in that case they said, here's an open bus, make stuff for it, and then all these companies could glom onto it and actually make stuff for it. And now it's just standard. We don't think about it, but back then that was probably a big deal.
That was the big innovation for IBM. I mean, IBM are, the closed company. It may as well be their slogan, right? Yeah. and here they were, this Skunks Work project called the PC, and they opened the bus and everything else. They published the BIOS listing, and they still locked up the BIOS with copyright, but they, at least published it and everything else. And that created the PC boom that we're still seeing today.
Yeah. It's. I think the only problem with doing that today is that it's just like we're seeing now with the this big board list and other projects. It's just a noisier marketplace, right? Everybody's open now, and it's like you just have to have a big enough platform where enough people want to develop for it, and people want to develop hardware for it. And luckily, there are a lot of people doing that kind of thing, but it's interesting because it's almost like the polar opposite now, where very few people are not. That's not true. Not very few people are closed. Very few consumer level products are. No, that's not true either. This is not very well thought out, Dave.
No.
Very few consumer level hobby projects are closed. How about that?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting from the Intel perspective too, because they actually, I mean, they state that they're going after hobby. I mean, they say hobbyists in this video they made. It was a pretty good video.
That's really, that's telling.
Yeah,
that's excellent.
So, yeah. Good on them, as some people say, right? That's what some people say, right, Dave?
Good on them.
Good on them. Yeah.
On you, mate. No worries.
Right.
It probably came down to one passionate, stubborn bastard in Intel somewhere who went, we need to do a hobbyist we need to jump on this bandwagon, and they ended up selling it to management.
Yeah.
You know, I guarantee you management didn't sit around and come up with it. Somebody pushed for this. There was an evangelist inside.
Yeah. Well, he was probably like, I can't make all this hardware, a-holes. Let other people make it.
In fact, it'd be interesting if they did this in their 10% time or whatever. I don't know if they have that in Intel, but whether or not they did it on the side and he actually
Intel
presented the whole thing. Look, here it is. Look,
yeah.
We should probably say, we should probably market this.
I was talking about 20% time with a friend yesterday over email. And I was complaining because I was a little bored.
Were
at work
you
the other
wasting your 20% time?
I was. Well, here's the story. So I was a little bored at work, right? You know, I had a lull like we all do, right? But I do not have a standardized 20% time kind of innovation type thing there, right? And the question is, how do you come up with these projects at work, right? I mean, everybody has stuff that they want to do for work, but getting like the permission, allowing yourself to work on those kind of things in the downtime, right? Like whenever I'm at downtime, I always think, I should be busy, right? I should have busy work or, like getting stuff done, that kind of thing. But like, how do you actually allow yourself that time when you're not granted that time by a higher level of management or whatever like that?
Here's the answer. Based on my vast industry experience. It's easier to seek forgiveness than it is to seek permission.
Yes. That is, it's true. It's true.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just find something I want to work on and work on it.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess so. It's just I don't know, it's like a mental switch it was very tough for me. I was struggling with it. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I just need to find
I don't know.
More things that I think are broken. I've just
always done it,
I know.
You pussy.
I guess I need to be more like you, Dave.
Yep. Every day.
Yeah, right.
You need to start talking strine.
Yeah, that'll work.
You yikes.
I know.
So stiff.
Whatever.
That's our show. We've almost done now. We've just pissed away an hour there.
Well, now we go into the extra, the Amp Hour Plus.
Talk about what?
I don't know. Let's see what else is on here. Do you see this Open SDR platform on Kickstarter? I think it's still going. They got 22 days left. Hack RF, the jawbreaker.
How's it going? Everyone's talking about
awesome. Yeah,
SDR. Has it met its target?
Yeah, 312,000 out of 80,000.
Oh, wow. Very nice.
Yeah, this is the same, not the same, but, the SDR type of platform was the same as that Red Pitaya we talked about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And, so this is another SDR type of platform. But the nice thing about this is that, like a lot of the SDR type of things are based on commercial, like the USB dongles, the TV-based ones that you can basically use. And so this is actually open source and, compatible with a bunch of stuff. And
it's $275.
Yeah, I mean, but it's cheaper than building your own, right? I mean, like...
Oh, no, from scratch, exactly.
Yeah.
And it goes from... you can transmit or receive anything from 30 megahertz to 6 gig. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty groovy. That's pretty useful.
And the hardware was done in KiCad, which is also impressive because it's RF stuff.
Oh, why? Why does the tool matter? RF isn't magic. You just lay down traces. You just got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, I know, but you still got to... Usually there's all those checking tools in doing RF layout stuff, right? I mean, there's all the...
Nah, it's not rocket science.
Impedance matching, all that crap.
All that crap. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. Come on, man. Man up.
I don't do RF very often, Dave.
Neither do I, but it's not hard to lay out an RF board.
Prove it.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Challenge given.
Not accepted. I got better things to do.
So much easier to give challenges than it is to accept them.
Right.
Dave, I've got like 10 challenges for you to do this week.
Excellent. I'll produce all the material for your conceptual electronics. Yeah. How's that? Yeah.
There we go. That would be awesome. You know what? I'll work on other stuff.
And our special guest's content sucker this week is Dave Jones from the EE blog. You don't have to do any work. You just get other people to produce your content.
Yeah. One thing I've been doing on for contextual electronics and for this board we're sending to Open Hardware Summit is working with breakaway boards and actually doing that for the fab stuff. And there's actually there's a nice guideline from the Menor graphics blogs about doing. I had never heard the term before, but they call them mouse bites. You call them mouse bites?
I've never used the term mouse bite. No, they're just breakout tabs. Is what I've
heard
the
cute.
term, but it's very
it's cutesy, right?
It's it's never a term that's appealed to me.
Yeah, but basically it's when it's like. If you've ever gotten a board from like Osh Park, that's actually how Lane does that. So that they do a route, and then there's little tiny snap off tabs where it's non-plated through holes, and then you leave a little bit, and then you can snap them off. The other option being V scoring, and it's it's
or
nice.
A combination.
What would you use the combo for?
My microcurrent
just to get like
is a basic example. No, because you may want to do, and because you don't want the breakout tabs because they can get ugly. Like if you don't design them right, when you cut them out with pliers, they can be really sort of they can leave little sharp
there's fiberglass shards.
It's just so you've got to do it right. And and sometimes you don't want big ugly. Like it's okay in the corners. I find if you put them in the corners, they're okay. Because you can generally just get the right size pair of side cutters in there and snip them off, and you get a reasonably good right angle edge to your board. But when you put them like in the middle of the board, like on an edge, then you've got to like have that little half moon cutout or whatever in your board, and then go in and it's just it's ugly. So you end up with these ugly little cutouts in your board.
Right.
And so
I mean,
sometimes
you sand them down a little bit,
sometimes you want a nice clean edge on one edge of your board, and but you still need to hold it in the panel on that edge. So you might choose to do a combination of V-scoring in one direction and routing in the other direction. I'm making hand gestures here, and it
of course,
work
right. His tongue's out to the side, of course, as well. He's explaining it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, what were we talking about? What was the point of it? I
V-scoring and mouse bites, I usually don't do panels. I was re-going over your PCB tutorial, the panelization tutorial too.
The design for manufacturing.
Yeah,
right.
that's the thing. Like, I mean, I'm always doing prototype stuff, so it's like all the proto services. They just you just send them a board file, and it's fine,
single
right?
board. It's done.
I never panelize, so it's not a big deal.
So you're a throw over the wall kind of guy, huh? When it goes to production, that's
the thing. I'm forced to throw over the wall. That's reality for a lot of people. It's just all right. Well, you guys will figure it out.
You've got no choice. So I can do you can do the production panel, but they're just going to redo it anyway if you give it to them. They're just going to do it in the company standard,
Right.
So,
and that's fine. I mean, because I don't know all the, it really what it comes down to. It's not even like the standard so much as what does the assembly house want, right? If you're using an outside one or if you have an internal one, and you don't want to hold it up usually. So that's sometimes
you as the engineer may not know jack about that, or you may know jack about what happens on that side of thing. And also, you don't want the responsibility. You don't want to be the guy that screws up a production panel, right?
Well, that's
better off
the big
to throw
one.
it over the wall and give it to someone else who's done it 10 times and know exactly what the factory wants,
right. Not from like the avoiding blame, because it is good to learn that stuff, but
that's kind of helps.
But from not wasting money in that case, right? If it's a production
time
thing,
and money,
that's one thing. If I'm going to do a panel for a proto run, then no big deal, right? I mean, I'll figure it out. There's tons of stuff out there, but it hasn't come up yet. So,
and I want to put a disclaimer, folks. If the board in the Summit goodie bag, the amp hour board in the Summit goodie bag sucks ass, it wasn't my idea or it wasn't me doing it, okay? It's all Chris.
That's such a cop-out.
It's all Chris.
Of course it was all me. Jesus. What a cop-out.
Well, I'm just... I don't want to cop blame for your shoddy work. Thank you very much.
Don't blame me for not actually doing any work. I'm going to throw in something I made a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's right. My one's just a rehash. Yeah.
Don't do any stickers though, Chris. You should definitely do something else.
Yep.
While creating it.
I think I offered to do the board, and you went, no.
You did not offer to do the board.
I think I offered to do it at one point. I think there was a...
This friggin' guy. Anyways, what I was going to say about when you were talking about least resistance paths for throwing it over the wall, I've actually realized that so I know this sounds decidedly corporate, right? But I've actually taken the tact of trying my coworkers' documentation methods before trying anything else. Because I've been burned so many times. Like when you come in and you're learning a new flow for like documentation or for document management for like actual like revision control and stuff like that. Man, I got burned so friggin' hard trying to do my own thing. Oh, I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it, guys. And my coworkers were very nice about it. They even didn't make fun of me when I messed up and had to do it all over again. My boss didn't yell at me. No, it was a nice learning experience, but man,
you didn't follow the internal de facto standard.
Exactly. It's like a what's it called? Not a tribe culture, but some kind of like tribe.
Yeah, no, this develops in the early days of the project or early days of the company. Somebody is the first to do that style of documentation, and then forevermore that is the de facto standard. And that becomes, or a filing system or some other document management system or whatever. The first person to come up with it ultimately forms that de facto standard, even if it's complete crap. Right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's it's better to follow a crap system than at least everyone's the same crap, and it's I've
participated on stuff. Like I tried to, in a past company, I tried to move stuff over to like a wiki for documentation, which is actually a great way to document. If people have never done that, just like using a media wiki install, like Wikipedia does.
Yep,
it's a great way to document.
You can do a local version of that.
Yeah, it's awesome. And but man, talk about
backlash. Yep.
Backlash and just cultural changes like that at companies. I mean, obviously, people will hear all about that kind of stuff next week when we talk to Eric about. We think documentation's bad, trying to implement an entirely new R&D system like Lean does. But my God, it's just crazy, like trying to actually get that done. It's like you need to like be a social hacker, right? You need to figure out how you can actually, because there's egos involved and all this other crap. Like, if you're working with an engineer who's been there 25 years, who always has kept a lab notebook, he's not going to switch over to Wikipedia. You know what I mean?
No, that's it. Yeah.
1, he doesn't want to. 2, he wasn't paying attention at the training. And then 3, he's embarrassed when he can't, do it after the training was already passed. And it's like, man, it's way too human for me sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Sometimes it's just way too human.
The corporate world.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Okay, one last thing for this week, because I just remembered, because it's we have to do it, right?
What?
We have to.
Tell me.
We have to talk about it.
What?
Every week.
Spit it out, man.
I got to find the link, Dave. Oh, I bet someone downvoted it on Reddit. I'm talking about it anyways. Robert Scoble, who I'm not a huge fan of, but he went to Park, and there was a guy at Xerox. It used to be Xerox Park, now it's just Park Palo Alto Research Center, talking all about printable electronics.
Oh, God.
Yeah, last time Dave was like,
printable electronics, fine, but it's never going to become a bloody chip printer that spits out chips you can use in your freaking design.
I know, but it's still a fun thing because...
I know. See, he just admitted it, folks, right there.
No, I said, I know how you feel about it, Dave. I know how you feel about it.
You know it's not possible.
It's all about, it depends how I feel in the day. Some days I'm feeling, frisky and I'm ready to duke it out over printable electronics, but man, some days I'm just don't want to deal with you.
Because you know I'm right. And
Whatever. Anyways, there's a couple.
Usable chip.
Park is a very cool place. They have a lot of great stuff going on. So they're kind of like Bell Labs too. You know, like they're kind of a vestige of old tech and old research labs, but they're still kind of hanging on there. And so they're still working on some cool stuff. And printable.
Can I let you in on a little secret?
What's that, Dave?
There's this amazing place you can go to, and they've got like 500,000 chips or something, and they're super cheap. You can have them next day. They're in stock. They're fully characterized. They come with full data sheets. They're fully tested and qualified.
They're
Do
not talk about DigiKey.
Insert your catalog supplier. All right?
Yeah, I know.
And that's why the chip printer's never going to work. Unbelievable.
Whatever.
How many times do I have to say it?
Whatever.
Yeah.
If I
Is
can
that
dream.
it for this week?
Yep. But you know what? I'm going
What?
to keep emailing you crap about this.
Please do.
I will.
I don't mind printable electronics. I like looking at the links, and I think it's a nice research field, and I like the stuff they're coming up with. It's neat.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else this week? I don't think there was.
No,
but next week,
quits, for goodness sake.
Yeah,
Yes,
next
next week
week
is cool, as we said.
Yeah, we're already done with that. We're going to be lounging. Some of us will be
we
lounging.
get a
Others will
week
be
off.
working on boards still. But
I won't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
We should do this more. Maybe we should record like 10 episodes in a row or something, and then just...
Yeah, I'm sure we'd never record again after that.
Right.
Oh, yeah, right. We have a podcast.
How do you
don't
do
we?
that again? Oh, where's my mic? Where did that...
People would be like, why am I listening to news from 10 weeks ago? Must be the end of a cycle.
Oh, dear.
And why do Dave and Chris sound so damn tired?
All right.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
See you in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
And the winner this week is Andy Leck. Thanks for submitting the story. USB soldering iron my ass.